The water lapped against my skin, cool and sharp, as I floated alone in the pool, the summer sun blazing above. I was 19, a college freshman, and this suburban backyard felt like a temporary escape from the chaos of my life. Then I heard her voice, low, teasing, unforgettable. "Didn't expect to find you here, Riley." It was Lauren, my best friend Emma's mom, standing at the pool's edge, her sundress catching the breeze. At 42, she was everything I wasn't. Poised, confident, with a warmth that made my chest tighten. I'd known her for years, but today, her gaze lingered a little too long, and something in me stirred. Something dangerous, forbidden, and impossibly alive. I pushed off the pool wall, trying to play it cool. "Emma's at work," I said, my voice betraying a slight tremor. "I just needed to clear my head." Lauren smiled, kicking off her sandals and sitting at the edge, her feet dipping into the water. "Rough day?" she asked, her tone soft but probing, like she could see right through me. I nodded, avoiding her eyes. My life was a mess. College stress, a recent breakup with my girlfriend, and the constant pressure to figure out who I was. This pool, Emma's house, was supposed to be my safe haven. "You're not the only one who needs an escape," Lauren said, her voice dropping. She leaned forward, her dark hair falling over one shoulder. "Sometimes I come out here at night just to feel free." I swallowed hard. Was she flirting? No, that was crazy. She was Emma's mom. But the way her eyes held mine, the way her laugh felt like a secret just for me, it was disorienting. I splashed water to break the tension. "You swim at night? Isn't that like against the rules?" She laughed, a sound that sent heat rushing to my face. "Rules are overrated, Riley. You'll learn that." She stood, brushing her hands on her dress. "Come inside when you're done." I made lemonade. I watched her walk away, her silhouette framed by the setting sun. My heart pounded and I sank underwater, hoping the coolness would drown out the thoughts I shouldn't be having. But they followed me, persistent and loud. Later, inside the house, the kitchen smelled like citrus and summer. Lauren handed me a glass of lemonade, her fingers brushing mine for a split second. "So," she said, leaning against the counter, "what's got you so lost in your head?" I hesitated. I barely knew how to explain it to myself. How my ex Sarah had left me feeling like I wasn't enough. How I was terrified of failing at college. How I didn't know what I wanted except to feel something real. But Lauren listened, her eyes steady like she actually cared. "You're young," she said finally. "You're allowed to be a little lost. But don't let anyone tell you who you're supposed to be." Her words hit me harder than I expected, and I looked away, my throat tight. That night, I lay on Emma's couch, staring at the ceiling. Lauren's voice echoed in my mind, her words about freedom and rules mingling with the memory of her touch. I was in trouble and I knew it. The next day, Emma invited me over again. "Mom's been weirdly happy lately," she said as we lounged by the pool. "She keeps talking about you." My stomach flipped. "Me?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Emma shrugged. "Yeah, she thinks you're going places. Whatever that means." I glanced at the house, where Lauren was watering plants on the patio. Our eyes met through the glass door and she smiled. A smile that felt like it was meant just for me. I looked away, my pulse racing. This was dangerous territory, but I couldn't stop myself from wanting to step closer. By the end of the week, I was finding excuses to be at Emma's house. Lauren was always there, offering a drink, a joke, a glance that lingered too long. One afternoon, when Emma ran to the store, Lauren and I ended up alone in the living room. She was flipping through a photo album, showing me pictures of her and Emma from years ago. "You were so young," I said, pointing to a photo of her in her 20s holding a toddler Emma. "God, I was," she laughed, but there was a wistfulness in her voice. "I got married young, had Emma young. Sometimes I wonder who I'd be if I'd chosen differently." I looked at her, my heart pounding. "What would you have chosen?" She closed the album, her eyes locking onto mine. "Something braver," she said softly. The air between us crackled, and for a moment I thought she might lean closer. But then the front door slammed. Emma was back. I went home that night, my mind a storm. Lauren was married, straight, my best friend's mom. But the way she looked at me, the way she made me feel, it was like I was waking up for the first time. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew I couldn't stop it. The summer heat pressed down on me as I biked to Emma's house, my thoughts a tangled mess of Lauren's smile and the guilt gnawing at my chest. I told myself I was just going to hang out with Emma, but deep down I knew I was hoping to see her mom again. Every glance, every word from Lauren felt like a spark, and I was terrified of what it meant. Emma was sprawled on the couch when I arrived, scrolling through her phone. "You're here like every day now," she teased, tossing me a soda. "What's up with that?" I shrugged, my face burning. "Just like your pool." She laughed, oblivious, and we spent the afternoon playing video games. But my eyes kept drifting to the kitchen, where Lauren was chopping vegetables, humming softly. She caught me looking once, and her lips curved into a knowing smile. My heart stuttered. Later, Emma got a call from her boss, asking her to cover a shift. "Ugh, I'll be back in a few hours," she groaned, grabbing her keys. "Don't burn the house down, Riley." The door closed and the silence was deafening. I sat frozen on the couch, hyper-aware of Lauren's presence in the next room. Then she appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Just you and me now," she said, her voice light but laced with something heavier. I laughed nervously. "Guess I should head out." "Don't," she said quickly, then softened. "I mean stay. Keep me company." I followed her to the patio, where she poured us iced tea and sat across from me, her bare feet tucked under her. The air felt charged, like a storm was brewing. "You're different, Riley," she said, her eyes searching mine. "You're not like Emma's other friends. You see things." I didn't know what to say. My hands trembled around my glass. "I don't know about that," I mumbled. "I'm kind of a mess." She leaned forward, her voice low. "We're all a mess sometimes. But you're honest about it. That's rare." Her words hit me like a wave, and I found myself telling her things I hadn't told anyone. Not Emma, not my ex. How I felt like I was drowning in expectations, how I was scared I'd never figure myself out. She listened, really listened, her eyes never leaving mine. "You're braver than you think," she said finally. "You just need to trust yourself." I wanted to believe her, but all I could think about was how close she was, how her hand rested on the table inches from mine. I wanted to reach out to bridge that gap, but the weight of who she was, Emma's mom, married, untouchable, held me back. That night I dreamed of her. We were in the pool, the water warm and endless, her laughter echoing as she pulled me closer. I woke up gasping, my heart racing, guilt and desire twisting inside me. The next day I tried to keep my distance, but Lauren seemed to sense it. She found me in the backyard where I was pretending to read by the pool. "You okay?" she asked, sitting beside me. "Yeah," I lied, my voice tight. "Just thinking." She tilted her head, studying me. "You don't have to hide from me, Riley." Her words broke something in me. I looked at her, my chest aching. "I'm not hiding," I said, but it felt like a lie. I was hiding from her, from myself, from the truth of what I was starting to feel. She reached out, her hand brushing my arm, and I froze. Her touch was electric, and for a moment neither of us moved. Then she pulled back, her expression conflicted. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I shouldn't." But she didn't finish, and I didn't want her to. I wanted to know what she wasn't saying, what she was feeling. The air between us was thick with unspoken words, and I knew we were teetering on the edge of something we couldn't take back. Emma came home an hour later, shattering the moment. I left in a daze, biking through the humid streets, my mind replaying Lauren's touch, her words, her eyes. I was falling and I didn't know how to stop. I stopped going to Emma's house for a week, hoping distance would quiet the storm in my head. But every night I saw Lauren's face, her smile, her eyes, the way her touch lingered on my skin. I was 19, drowning in feelings I didn't understand, and she was a line I couldn't cross. Emma noticed my absence. "Where've you been?" she texted. "Mom keeps asking about you." My heart lurched. I lied, saying I was swamped with summer classes, but the truth was I was scared, scared of what I felt, scared of what it meant. Finally, I couldn't stay away. I showed up at Emma's on a humid afternoon, my nerves frayed. Emma was out back, grilling burgers with friends, but Lauren was inside, setting the table. When she saw me, her face lit up. Riley, she said like my name was something precious. I missed you. The words hit me hard and I mumbled something about being busy. She didn't push, but her eyes followed me, soft and searching. Later, when the others were outside, I offered to help her clean up, desperate for a moment alone. We stood at the sink washing dishes in silence. The tension was unbearable, every brush of her arm against mine sending sparks through me. Finally she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Why'd you stay away? I froze, the dish in my hand dripping water. I didn't mean to, I stammered. It's just complicated. She turned to face me, her eyes intense. Complicated how? I couldn't look at her. My heart pounded so loud I thought she'd hear it. I don't know what I'm doing, I admitted, my voice breaking. I don't know what this is. She stepped closer, her hand hovering near mine. Riley, she said softly, you don't have to know everything. Sometimes you just feel. Her words unlocked something in me, and I looked up, meeting her gaze. For a moment the world disappeared, Emma, the house, the rules. It was just us standing too close, the air electric. Then the back door slammed open and Emma's voice broke the spell. Riley, you coming? I pulled away, my face burning, and Lauren busied herself with the dishes, her expression unreadable. I joined the others outside, but my mind was still in the kitchen, replaying her words, her closeness. That night, Emma dragged me to a party at a friend's house. I went hoping to distract myself, but the music and laughter felt hollow. I slipped outside to the backyard, staring at the stars when my phone buzzed. A text from Lauren. Hope you're okay. Come by tomorrow? My hand shook as I typed back. Yeah, I'll be there. I shouldn't have replied, but I couldn't help it. She was pulling me in and I was letting her. The next day I arrived early. Emma was at work and Lauren was alone reading on the patio. She looked up, smiling. You came. We talked for hours about my dreams, her past, the lives we wanted but didn't know how to reach. She told me about her marriage, how it had been more duty than love, how she'd stayed for Emma. I don't regret her, she said, her voice soft. But sometimes I wonder what I gave up. I wanted to ask her what she meant, but the words stuck in my throat. Instead I said, you deserve to be happy, Lauren. Her eyes softened and she reached for my hand, her fingers warm against mine. So do you, Riley, she whispered. We sat there, hands clasped, the world fading away. I knew it was wrong, but it felt so right, like I'd been searching for her my whole life. But then I heard Emma's car in the driveway, and reality crashed back. I pulled away, my heart racing, and Lauren's expression mirrored my own, torn between want and fear. I couldn't sleep that night, my mind replaying the warmth of Lauren's hand in mine. Every moment with her felt like a step toward something inevitable, something that could ruin everything. By morning I was a wreck, torn between running to her and running away. Emma noticed my mood at breakfast. You okay, Riley? You're like zoned out. Yeah, just tired. I lied, forcing a smile. She didn't push, but her concern made my guilt worse. She was my best friend and I was falling for her mom. I avoided Lauren all day, sticking close to Emma, but my eyes kept finding her, watering the garden, laughing with Emma, brushing her hair behind her ear. Every move she made pulled me in deeper. When Emma stepped away to take a call, Lauren caught me alone in the living room. You're quiet today, she said, her voice gentle but probing. I shrugged, staring at the floor. Just a lot on my mind. She stepped closer, her presence overwhelming. Talk to me, Riley. Please. I wanted to tell her everything. How she made my heart race, how I was terrified of what I felt, how I didn't know how to stop. But all I said was, I can't. Her face fell and for a moment I saw hurt in her eyes. Okay, she said softly, turning away. The distance between us felt like a chasm, and I hated myself for it. That evening, Emma suggested a movie night, just the three of us. I wanted to say no, but I couldn't. We sat on the couch, Emma between us, oblivious to the tension. Lauren's arm brushed mine as she reached for popcorn, and my skin burned. I caught her eye and she didn't look away. After the movie, Emma crashed early, leaving Lauren and me alone in the dim living room. The silence was heavy, charged with everything we weren't saying. Finally, she spoke. Riley, I don't know what's happening here, but I feel it too. My breath caught. You do. She nodded, her eyes vulnerable. I've been trying to ignore it, but I can't. You're different. You make me feel things I haven't felt in years. I stepped closer, my heart pounding. This is crazy, Lauren. You're married. You're Emma's mom. I know, she whispered, her voice breaking. But when I'm with you, I feel like myself again. We stood there, inches apart, the air thick with longing. I wanted to kiss her to close the distance, but fear held me back. Then she reached out, her fingers brushing my cheek, and I leaned into her touch, my resolve crumbling. The sound of Emma's footsteps upstairs snapped us apart. Lauren stepped back, her eyes wide with panic. We can't, she said, her voice barely audible. Not like this. I nodded, my chest aching, and left without another word. Outside, the night air was cool, but it did nothing to calm the fire inside me. I was falling in love with her, and it was tearing me apart. The next day I tried to focus on anything else, school, friends, anything to keep Lauren out of my head. But when Emma invited me over again, I went like a moth to a flame. Lauren was in the kitchen, baking, her hands dusted with flour. She smiled when she saw me, but it was cautious, guarded. We need to talk, I said, my voice low. She nodded, wiping her hands. Not here. Meet me by the pool tonight after Emma's asleep. My heart raced, but I agreed. That night I waited by the pool, the water reflecting the stars above. When Lauren appeared, her silhouette soft in the moonlight, I knew there was no going back. The pool glowed under the moonlight, its ripples casting shadows across Lauren's face as she sat beside me. Her sundress was replaced with a simple tank top and shorts, making her look younger, more vulnerable. I wanted to reach for her, but the weight of our reality kept my hands still. Riley, she started, her voice trembling. It's complicated. I laughed bitterly. That's an understatement. She looked at me, her eyes searching. I've spent my life doing what I'm supposed to, wife, mother, perfect neighbor. But with you I feel alive. And it scares me. Her words hit me like a punch. It scares me too, I admitted. But I can't stop thinking about you. I don't want to stop. For a moment we just looked at each other, the air heavy with everything we'd been holding back. Then she leaned forward, her lips brushing mine, soft and tentative. My heart exploded and I kissed her back, my hands finding her face, pulling her closer. It was electric, overwhelming, everything I'd been craving. But then she pulled away, her breath ragged. We can't do this, she whispered, her eyes wet. Emma, my husband, this could destroy everything. I know, I said, my voice breaking. But what about us? Don't we get to want something too? She stood, pacing by the pool. I'm 42, Riley. I've got a life, responsibilities. You're just starting out. You deserve better than this. I stood too, my frustration boiling over. Don't tell me what I deserve. I know what I feel. And I know you feel it too. She stopped, her shoulders slumping. I do, she admitted, her voice barely audible. But it's not that simple. We stood in silence, the night pressing in around us. Finally I said, what if we just see where this goes? No promises, no plans. Just us. She looked at me, her expression torn. And if it hurts everyone we love? I didn't have an answer. All I knew was that I couldn't walk away from her, not now. The next few days were a blur of stolen moments, brushing hands in the kitchen, lingering glances when Emma wasn't looking. Every touch was a risk, every word a confession. But the guilt was eating me alive. Emma was my best friend and I was betraying her. One afternoon, Emma caught me staring at Lauren as she laughed with a neighbor. You're acting weird again, Emma said, frowning. What's going on with you? Nothing, I lied, my stomach twisting. Just spaced out. She didn't buy it, but she let it go. That night I texted Lauren. We need to figure this out. It's killing me. Her reply came hours later, tomorrow. Pool. Midnight. I barely slept, my mind racing with possibilities and fears. When I met her by the pool, she looked as torn as I felt. Riley, she said, her voice soft. I don't know how to do this without hurting people. Then let's be honest, I said, my voice shaking. Tell me you don't want this and I'll walk away. She stepped closer, her eyes locked on mine. I can't, she whispered. I want you too much. We kissed again, harder this time, the world fading away. But as her arms wrapped around me, I heard a gasp from the patio. I pulled back, my heart stopping. Emma stood there, her face pale, her eyes wide with shock. Mom, she whispered, her voice breaking. Riley. Emma's voice cut through the night like a knife, and I felt the world tilt. Lauren stepped back, her face ashen, her hands trembling. Emma, honey, she started, but Emma shook her head, tears streaming down her face. How could you? Emma choked out, looking between us. You're my mom. And you? She turned to me, her eyes blazing. You're supposed to be my friend. I opened my mouth, but no words came. The guilt I'd been shoving down crashed over me, drowning me. Emma, I'm so sorry. I whispered, but it sounded hollow, useless. She turned and ran back into the house, the door slamming behind her. Lauren looked at me, her eyes filled with panic and regret. I have to go to her, she said, her voice breaking, and then she was gone, leaving me alone by the pool. I sank to the ground, my chest tight, tears burning my eyes. I'd ruined everything, my friendship, Lauren's family, my own heart. The water lapped quietly, mocking the chaos inside me. The next morning, I went to Emma's house, my stomach in knots. I had to fix this, or at least try. Emma answered the door, her eyes red and swollen. What do you want, Riley? She asked, her voice cold. I need to explain, I said, my voice shaking. Please. She hesitated, then let me in. We sat in the living room, the silence heavy. Lauren was nowhere in sight, and I wondered if she was avoiding me. How long? Emma asked finally. How long have you been with my mom? It's not like that, I said quickly. It just happened. I didn't mean to hurt you. She laughed bitterly. You didn't mean to? Riley, she's married. She's my mom. Do you know how messed up this is? I know, I said, tears spilling over. I tried to stop, but I love her, Emma. The words hung in the air, raw and undeniable. Emma's face crumpled and she looked away. You love her, she repeated, her voice flat. What about me? Did you ever think about me? I did, I said, my voice breaking. I swear I did. But I couldn't stop feeling this way. She stood pacing. I need time, Riley. I can't deal with this right now. I nodded, my heart aching. I'm sorry. I whispered again and left, feeling like I'd lost everything. That afternoon, Lauren texted me, we need to talk. Meet me at the park. I found her on a bench by the lake, her face drawn, her eyes tired. Emma's devastated, she said without preamble. And my husband, he doesn't know yet, but he will. I sat beside her, my hands clenched. What do we do? She shook her head. I don't know. I've spent my life trying to be what everyone else needs. But with you I was selfish. And now we're all paying for it. Don't say that, I said, my voice fierce. What we feel, it's real. It's not wrong. She looked at me, her eyes wet. It's real, Riley. But it's also impossible. We sat in silence, the weight of her words sinking in. I wanted to fight for her, for us, but the cost was staring us in the face. Emma's pain, Lauren's marriage, the life she'd built, it was all crumbling. I need to fix things with Emma, she said finally. And you need to figure out what you want, Riley. Not just for me, but for you. I nodded, my throat tight. I don't want to lose you. She reached for my hand, squeezing it gently. You won't, she whispered. But we need time. The weeks that followed were a blur of silence and pain. Emma stopped talking to me, and Lauren's texts grew sparse, each one a reminder of the distance between us. I threw myself into school, trying to drown out the ache, but every quiet moment brought her back. Her smile, her touch, the way she made me feel seen. One night, I found myself by the pool again, staring at the water where it all began. I hadn't been back to Emma's house since that night, but I needed closure, or at least answers. As if on cue, Lauren appeared, her silhouette soft in the moonlight. Riley, she said, her voice soft but steady. I didn't expect you here. I didn't either, I admitted, my heart racing. I just needed to see you. She sat beside me, her hands clasped tightly. I told my husband, she said finally. About us. About me. My breath caught. What happened? She looked away, her eyes distant. He was angry, hurt, but mostly he wasn't surprised. I think he's known for a long time that I wasn't happy. We're separating. I stared at her, my mind reeling. And Emma? She's still angry, Lauren said, her voice breaking. But she's talking to me again. Slowly. She needs time, Riley. We all do. I nodded, my chest tight. What about us? She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of love and sorrow. I don't know yet. I need to figure out who I am outside of being a wife, a mother. And you're so young, Riley. You have so much ahead of you. I don't care about that, I said, my voice fierce. I want you. She smiled, tears in her eyes. And I want you. But we can't build something on broken pieces. Not yet. We sat in silence, the water lapping softly. Finally, she took my hand. This isn't the end, she said. It's just a pause. For both of us to find our way. I nodded, tears streaming down my face. I'll wait, I whispered. However long it takes. She squeezed my hand, then let go, standing. Live your life, Riley. Be brave. I'll find you when the time's right. She walked away, and I watched her go, my heart breaking and healing all at once. The summer had changed everything. Shattered walls, open truths, and left me raw but stronger. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing. Love, real love, was worth the pain. Months later, I was back at college, diving into my studies, finding my footing. Emma and I started talking again, small steps toward rebuilding our friendship. And Lauren, she sent me a letter one day. Simple but full of hope. I'm finding myself, Riley. And I'm thinking of you. I kept that letter by my bed. A reminder that some loves are worth waiting for. The pool, the summer, the chaos. It had all led me here, to a version of myself that was braver, truer. And somewhere out there, Lauren was finding her truth too.